today we are talking about giving ourselves permission to be unavailable. Let me just make sure that I am live in the group, that you can hear me. Yes, okay, perfect. I'll keep my phone right here to make sure that I'm seeing comments. So if you're watching this live, let me know. If you're watching this replay, hashtag replay, let me know that as well. Hold on one second. Let me grab this. I want to share with you the book that this episode is coming from. I should have had it right here. I'll show you. I have my office here, right? But it's so dark when I sit in that corner. So instead I came and I'm sitting by the window so that way I get the natural light. Otherwise I'm just sitting in a dark hole. Okay, hold on, let me grab this book. All right, so today's episode is being inspired. It's because they brought to you. They're not a sponsor. Being inspired by Find Your Unicorn Space by Eve Rothke. If you've been watching my lives lately, you see I have been obsessed. I've been following Eve Rothke, and she is the author of the book Fair Play, as well as Find Your Unicorn Space. And she's all about helping women, creating systematic changes, really, like beyond the individual, but helping women recognize that they are worthy of making space for themselves, for self-expression, for self-care, for pursuing passions, for doing all the things instead of putting themselves in the background of their lives, and then not being able to be fully present, like not being able to be who they are, like their unique self, which is what like the unicorn space is about helping women find what it is that makes them, like makes you, you. So instead of simply like going with the flow, or like going with the status quo, like the expectations that we may have and that society has placed on us about like what a mom should be, like really leaning into what makes you unique and allowing yourself or giving yourself permission to step out of the background of your life and be interesting again. So it was when I read Fair Play, I was like, our missions were so aligned that I felt pulled to really explore her world more. And I recently got certified as a Fair Play facilitator. And what that means is Fair Play is a system that works to bring equity in the home. So equity with the domestic responsibilities as well as childcare responsibilities, and really take women step into their power, ask for, I have that problem with ask for help. It's not, be equal, take equal initiative or equal ownership of what it takes to run a home for both partners in the, like your husband and the wife, or the mom and the dad, instead of the mom doing it all, right? And so I'm getting off topic a little bit, but I wanted to give you a brief background about what today's podcast episode or Facebook Live is about finding a unicorn space. And one of the rules, or one of the things that we need to make sure that we are giving ourselves, is that permission to be unavailable, which can be very scary, right? We carry around these things in our pockets, our phones, that prevent us from setting those boundaries and giving us time to be uninterrupted and to get into the flow and to really lean into that creative part of us. Because how many times during the day do you, like, I used to get very like resentful of my husband because I felt like there was not a project, or there wasn't a time that I was able to dive uninterrupted into a project. I never felt that, or I could not, never, I shouldn't say never. It was very rare that I was able to feel that sense of accomplishment because I hear this all the time, like us moms, we kind of like get in these ruts, like where every day is the same. Like you clean the room and then it gets a mess and then you clean. Like you never get that sense of accomplishment. I saw a reel the other day. It was like a picture. It was a video of like a clean kitchen floor, and they're like a rare shot of the 2.3 seconds that this floor is going to be clean, right? Because there's so much chaos around us and so much things happening that it's rare that we get to really bask in our enjoyment of like accomplishment, which is huge, right? And so when you give yourself permission to be unavailable, right, you get to enjoy that present moment. You get to get into the flow. So most of us understand the reason, like the why around having time for ourselves. There's so many benefits, right? It improves our mental health. It allows us to grow like in a positive direction. We get to cultivate social connections when we have time like for ourselves that isn't consumed with taking care of everyone and everything else. We can develop our relationships. We can have mom friends, or we can have friends. We can escape the stress and the everyday pressure. We can get back in touch with who we are outside of the roles we play. Too often, I have conversations with moms that end with, or that it comes up that mom, like that women don't even know what it is that they like to do, because it's been so long since they've been able to just do that, just be able to like even read a book or draw. Or I have moms who, you know, love art and love drawing and painting, and haven't painted in years. So it is so important to engage in activities that are going to bring you joy. And when you allow yourself time to engage in these activities without interruption, it brings you joy. It brings joy back to your life. It allows you to be you instead of having to deal with all of the pressures that come from the roles you play. Carving out uninterrupted time for creative self-expression, it is key for creating a meaningful and fulfilled life. I'm going to repeat that. Carving out uninterrupted time for creative self-expression is key to creating a life of meaning and fulfillment. Once you recognize this, once you recognize or realize that you are important, that you matter, that you are worthy of prioritizing, it becomes easier to set those boundaries so that you can create that time for yourself. So I think we can all be in agreement why it is important to have time for ourselves, but we struggle with the what, the how, and the when to make it happen. Like what to do, like I mentioned, if it's been so long you don't even know what it is that you like to do, that's something that we can work on. That's something you can learn. That's something you can journal about and explore. The how to make it happen, those are the things that we work on. Those are the things we work on when you participate. I have the Reclaim Your Time or Claim Your Me Time challenge. That's when you learn how to make that time. A lot of it is mindset. Yes, there is logistical things that you can do to create more time in your day or to carve out that time. But I'm telling you, most of it takes place in your mind. And then the when. I always recommend start with your bookends. Your days are typically pretty busy. And so starting with your bookends, maybe in the morning, at night, or on the weekends. That might be the prime place to start when you want to start creating and carving out the time for yourself. We are culturally conditioned to put ourselves last. And so we have to fight against that. And that is why the work of Eve Rodsky is so important, because she's making like strides in this changing the systemic expectations and that these societal demands on motherhood. We're working together to shift, right? And that's what like in Moms Without Capes. You join this group because you recognize like that things are not how they should be. And now you're taking action to change it, which is amazing, right? We're working together in this movement. Here's a quote by Michalsky that I wanted to mention here in this episode or this live. You are complicit in your own oppression when you willingly put yourself and your time second or last. Like, I've mentioned before about this dance that we do, right? Like we always think like, oh, if my husband would help more, or if I could make more money, right? Like we have these things that we say like, oh, if something else, like we're giving away our power and our control to something else. And we're thinking if that happened, then I would be able to have more time for myself. If my kids grew up, when my kids turned 18, right? Like that was a big one for me. And I realized like, no, I don't have to wait. I can take back my power because I teach people how to treat me. Those boundaries that I set for myself are important. And it was learning how to set those boundaries and why I need to set those boundaries that helped me carve out that time for myself. But I needed to believe it in myself before I was able to, make those changes. I want to share a story. Let me just check my comments, see if anyone's watching live. All right. This story. So for our first Christmas together, my husband and I were going to be married 24 years this summer. For our very first Christmas, he bought me we were down in Georgia. My family's in Pennsylvania. His family's in Montana. And so we were all alone. Our daughter, I was 9 months pregnant because our daughter was born January 1st. So our first Christmas, a week before, he bought me a new pair of sneakers and a Nike jacket. And both of them were very unisex, right? Like it wasn't a feminine jacket or anything. It was like just a sporty jacket. And the sneakers were just, I don't even know what kind of sneakers, probably Asics or whatever. Probably not even that. They're probably like Walmart brand. We were broke poor. Anyway, he bought me the stuff. And that night we were going to, he was in the service. So it was like our friends down at the base, we were going to probably a Christmas party or whatever. And he asked if he could wear the jacket and the shoes, right? We still joke about this because I'm like, the night he gave it to me for Christmas. And then he wore them out on Christmas night. And when I think back at that moment, it was like this metaphor of like the next 12 years of our married life that I was giving my all. Like I had no boundaries. Like I couldn't say no, right? When we were like married, like I just didn't have the guts, I guess, to say no. But although like I always felt like there's nothing that I had, like, I enter into this marriage and like everything is ours. Like, and there was this piece of me, like I just craved my own stuff, like my own things, yet I didn't know how to ask for it. I didn't know how to protect it or guard it. And I realized like that was the same thing with my time. I didn't know how to guard it. I didn't see it as something that I needed to protect. And so I was willing to just give it all away. I was willing to just let other people take it. And even my loved ones, especially. And it was this underlying assumption that like my time was infinite, that it's so easy to just give away day after day or day, hour after hour, like take it, take my time, take my time, take my time. But when you give yourself permission to be unavailable, it allows you to protect and guard that time because you're never going to get that time back. You have to reframe the way you view time. the value of your time. Because the number one reason moms give for not engaging in practices of self-care or self-expression or pursuing their passions or living their dreams or doing all of the things that make you you is because they don't have time. You do have time. I promise you have time, but you're not guarding it. You're not telling people I'm unavailable at this time. The world is not going to fall apart. I learned that the hard way, right? I know that you are learning that too. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to lean in on your support system. It is okay to be unavailable. It is okay to protect your time. You are the only one that can give yourself this permission. Nobody else is going to give you this permission to you. They're going to ask, hey, let me wear your sneakers. Let me wear your coats. Give me your time. Give me your time. Give me your time. I'm telling you, it's time to say enough. It's time for you to value your time. Allow yourself that gift of being unavailable. It takes practice, right? It takes strength, it takes confidence, it takes courage. But that is what you will be learning here in the Moms Without Capes Facebook group, in the Supermom Detox, in my coaching program. That is exactly what we work on, is helping you recognize that you are worthy. Your time is worthy of protecting. You are so much more than a mom. So today, I want you to jump into the comments. If you're watching this in replay, don't forget #replay. And if you have any questions about this, let me know. But I want you to get into the comments and I want you to answer, what would an uninterrupted day or even an uninterrupted hour look like if you gave yourself permission to be unavailable? I have a podcast episode that I did. I'll throw the link. It's called Getting into the Flow. It was an interview I did with Rena Lang, and it was all about that how. Like, why is it so important to get into the flow, and how can we get into the flow? And what I mean by the flow is like that uninterrupted time, like where you are the sustained attention, like being able to focus on one task. And when we are struggling with the mental load and it's heavy and we feel pulled in a million different directions, that means that it's even more important to ensure to make yourself unavailable and to carve out that time, that uninterrupted time, to focus on a single task. Give yourself that space to think, to hear your thoughts, to sit in silence, to get in touch with who you are, to check in. There might be reasons why you are avoiding, why you are staying so busy, because those emotions may be uncomfortable for you. But that's all the more reason why you need to learn to be okay with sitting with your emotions, acknowledging it, getting in touch with the thoughts that are creating those emotions for you, because only then can you start changing them to create the life that you want to be living. So get in the comments, let me know what you would do with that day or hour of uninterrupted, sustained time on it. Like, give yourself permission to be unavailable, right? Let me know. Let's talk about it. The Supermom Detox, I already mentioned it. It is my one-on-one personalized coaching program where we walk through all of the things that I just talked about today, giving yourself permission, shifting your self-beliefs, the unrealistic expectations that are keeping you stuck, and learning how you can be more than the roles you play, be more than the mom, be more than the wife, and be more than the person you are at work. So if you want to find out more about that, definitely let me know. Reach out to me via DM, send me an email, Onnie@momswithoutcapes.com. Let's talk about it, right? I'd love to share with you more about this program because it's an awesome program and it's really going to help you hang up your Supermom cape.